And we are holding on Siman, Nun Gimel, Seif Yud Aleph, on Daf Pei Bet Amud Aleph of regular prints of Mishna Berurah. Maran writes, Shaliach Tzibur, this is again continuing on the halachot of Shaliach Tzibur, who is the proper candidate for being the Shaliach Tzibur, being the agent of the congregation. Says Maran, Shaliach Tzibur shemarich b'tfilato kedei sheishmeu kolo arev. Shaliach Tzibur that elongates the tefillah and chah like he's going on a beautiful hazanut in order for people to say, wow, look at this hazan, is a hazan, haval al azman. That the Rashba, right, this is from Rashba. If he is happy in his heart that Hashem has given him, blessed him with a voice that he could praise Hashem, like the pasuk says, "Kabed Hashem mehoncha," respect Hashem from your wealth. A wealth of a person is not always his wallet. Sometimes your wealth is your voice. Sometimes is your brains. Sometimes is your just time to spend with people, your heart. Every person has a different wealth that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given them, has blessed them with. And Hashem says, Kabed Hashem me'oncha, respect Hashem from that wealth that which He has granted you with. So someone that has a kol arev, someone that has a beautiful voice, is respecting Hashem by being a hazan. So if he's happy that he could get to give hoda'ah to Hashem, thanks to Hashem, then that is a beautiful thing. B'ne'ima tavo alav bracha. Right? Blessing should come upon him. That's given that he's davening bekoved rosh with respect. He's standing with awe and reverence in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, realizing that the weight of the Tzibur's tefillah is on him. He's the shaliach, he's the agent of the Tzibur. That's amazing. But if he wants to show off his beautiful voice and hazanut of, he could do a silsul for 50 seconds that no one else could do, and gewaldig, right? This is ugly. It's disgusting in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, mikol makom. But nevertheless, kol sh'ma'arich b'tfilato lo tov. If you are ma'arich tarha, if you are elongating tefillah for no reason, that's not good anyways. You're wasting the time of the tzibur. Everyone has to go learn Amud Yomi. Well, the tefillah that takes like X amount of minutes. I'm afraid to say numbers because some people, the norm for them is 45 minutes, 1 hour. Some come from out of town and they're used to 18-minute minyanim. Whatever X amount of minutes that tefillah is supposed to take, if you are ma'arich, if you're elongating it more than that, more than necessary, it's not good. Chazal were mindful of seconds. Sometimes you take a look at the sugya of Torah HaTzibur, what Chazal viewed as bothering and taking the Tzibur's time, the people's time, and they're talking about mamash seconds. And still Chazal were mindful not to waste the time of Tzibur. So if you're a Hazan, it's on you not to waste people's time. You have to be on top of it. Of course, it goes without saying that the Gabayim, the people in charge of tefillah also have to, starting on time. All that goes together with this. But it's Torah HaTzibur, right? It says the Mishna Berurah on this. Shliach tzibur misheyesh lo kol na'im yiranen la'akadosh baruch hu. If you have a beautiful voice, sing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is part and parcel of why HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given you the blessing. V'lo she'are ananot. Don't sing other songs. Don't sing love songs. The Gemara says in Masechet Gitin that it's the whole sugya in Daf Vav and Daf Zayin and Masechet Gitin, and really the part of it is in a sugya in Masechet Sanhedrin, Daf Kuv Aleph, Gemara in Sota, Daf Memchet and Memtet. of what songs you could sing, what songs you can't sing. The Ritba and the Meiri, for instance, in Masachet Gitin Daf Zayin, they say, Shira Agavot are asur. Listening to love songs that, instigates lust in sexual mindset, that is not a proper thing. It's asur to listen to a song like that, right? Aside from the whole sugya of now that Beit HaMikdash is destroyed, Marash Haruch writes, based on the Rambam and other Rishonim, based on the Gemara, so look at how to understand those three Gemarot that we just mentioned. But the simple understanding of the Gemara in Gitin Daf Vav and Zayin is like the Rambam understands it, and Maran in Shulchan Aruch paskins this la'alacha without any holek in Siman Tafkuf Samech Seif Gimal. Maran paskins that now that Beit HaMikdash is destroyed because of Churban, part of the remembrance and living with the memory of Beit HaMikdash is that it's asur to listen to songs, period. Right? Now, the minhag is not like that. The question is, how is it that the our minhag is to listen to Shweki and all the other Dvarim HaKadoshim when Maran seems to say absolutely is asur, right? Because it's a mourning of Beit HaMikdash, not just on Tisha B'Av. We mourn for Beit HaMikdash on a daily basis, right? So that's the sugya. But nevertheless, even if you are listening to songs, which seems to be minhag of many nowadays, actually by my chavrutas, one of my chavrutas in Yeshiva in Baltimore, his grandfather is the one that wrote Sha'arim Mitziarim Ba'alacha. So Sha'arim Mitziarim Ba'alacha, he writes that this isur is for people who are normal. You want to be happy. He says nowadays everyone is depressed. You want to be, it's a medicine. If you want to bring yourself up to normal, that's mutar. If you're already normal, you want to become happy, that's asur. But if you're using music as medicine to just, for basic tranquility and state of mind, not to be depressed, that is mutar, he says. Again, whatever the minhag is, Chacham Obadiah has a tshuva in Chavedat, that discusses why nowadays the Safek Sfeka you could rely on and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, the Shira Agavot, singing love songs and listening to them, it's very questionable. So it says over here, you should sing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu if you have a good voice, not songs that are halachically questionable and so on. Now, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shalom, he used to be always saying that when you are singing as a shaliach tzibur, you should not be ma'arich too much on one word, right? Because sometimes you miss the meaning of the word, and sometimes when the hazan is going, he loses breath, he breathes in the middle, and then it's pasul. If you breathe in the middle, you have divided the word to two words, which no part of it makes sense, and it's completely pasul, right? This actually happens by the Hoshanot in the Halel that you say with the Nanuim of Lulav and Etrog. When you have to do Nanuim, it says Ana Hashem Hoshiana, Ana, right? And they're doing it long, especially those who use the kavanot of Rashash and Maria Kadosh and all those. So that it's like you breathe in the middle. No, you didn't say Ana. You said two things and none of them makes sense. You just made two noises, right? The pasul. Word is only when you say, and this you'll find if you pay attention, you'll see the regular hazanim that are not b'nei Torah. All of them almost stumble on this one thing, that they breathe in the middle of one word, and it's a mitzvah to go to them nicely, not embarrassing them in the middle, but you go afterwards to them nicely and say, Zak Baruch, beautiful voice, whatever, but you can't breathe in the middle.
Can you breathe in
right?
As you say a word?
Huh?
Can you breathe in as you say a word?
If you're breathing, it's not the same word.
You have to be breathing out when you say the word.
Yes, you have to breathe out. And that is considered one word if you breathe out. And also, sometimes you just elongate the tune of one word and it misses its meaning, right? Aside from the fact that sometimes milera, mileel, the stress on the word, which syllabus you put the thing on. All of those in Dikduk are important, but some of them are more important than others. So a person has to be mindful of those halachot as becoming Shaliach Tzibur. Now, how about repeating words? Right? Some hazanim you find they repeat words in a bracha or in tefillah. Like I was by a chuppah recently, and a big rabbi was saying a bracha, and he was singing it, and to fit the tune, he was repeating some of the words. Right? Is that mutar? So Benayahu Tzaddik says, Chas v'shalom, you go to a very hot place, right? Or the Mizmor LeDavid, right? Mizmor LeDavid, some people, is that mutar or is that asur, right? So Chacham Obadiah writes, and this is not only him, many others, Shulchan Harav, and others as well. Aruch HaShulchan talks about this concept. It says that you cannot repeat any words. You should not be repeating any words. You're not good talking in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in front of the king. What are you singing and repeating to fit the tune? Say it once. Choose a tune that fits with the words, and you don't have to repeat words, right? Somebody used to say, if you do this, you're a joker in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're making it a joke. You think it's a joke. He's saying tefillah. He's singing it like you're in one of the shows in Broadway. It's davening in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It should be proper. And also, it's a chashash of hefsek, because if the word doesn't belong there, then you're mafsik with an extra word in the middle of saying the bracha or in the middle of saying the tefillah. So that's a serious chashash of hefsek, especially in bracha, but even in regular tefillah as well. And Chacham ben Sion Abba Shaul also writes the same thing. He adds that if you hearing from a hazan that is repeating the words in some parts of the tefillah, because of the fitting the tune and because of hazanut, you don't have to yell at him in public and say, you have to protest in front of people, because there are those who have been melamed zechut on this. Halachically now we're making fun of this, but because we want to make a strong point that you should not do this. But and in halachic discourse, there are those who are melamed zechut, that they try to justify the minhag of those chazanim. So they have what to rely on, maybe. So don't yell at them. But if you're the Rav or you're someone that he listens to, you say, why do you want to put yourself in mahloket? Some say this is mamash asur. You're the shaliach of tzibur. Why do you do that? Don't choose a tune that fits. Okay, so this is what tune? They shouldn't. Of course they have flies. The same thing. Yeah, the way proper kilot have it is different segments of people say it different, or they just say a melody, not a word, and then the third time they actually say the word. To say it 3 times is not necessarily good. And again, by Mizmor LeDavid, the tune that many shuls have, is an additional problem, because some of the repetitions is the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So then you're not only in transgression of all this that we're talking, but you're also being mebazeh the name of Hashem, perhaps Chas Shalom, and is noseh shem shamayim lebatala. You should not repeat the words that are not supposed to be repeated. Same thing as here. What? No, see, we're not. This is not talking about adding to tefillah. For instance, you're davening Shemona Esrei at the end of every bracha. You could ask private bakasha that you have regards to that tefillah, to that specific blessing, or better would be to wait until Shomei Tefillah and say add your tefillot in Shomei Tefillah. But nevertheless, this is not talking about that. This is just repeating the words of the same tefillah.
The end of every tefillah, they say Shema again after.
But Alenu L'Shabeach, you're saying that's not repeating anything. That's just to sing a pasuk. And then the Alenu L'Shabeach, some Sfaradim have that minhag to say. So therefore, but Chazan that wants to, to do it by the question, the question of doing it by Halil that David Nissim was asking is a little bit more kal. The Chacham Ben Zion in that piece in Orlat Zion that discusses this is Talmidim. They write that Halil is a little bit more kal, even though that still is not part of the tefillah. But you can't say that the Shaliach Tzibur is mitloses, is making fun, and is a bizayon.
Whether it's including the bracha or not.
Not the bracha. You're talking about the pieces of Halil.
Whether it's not just if halal is not a bracha, is that also part of
Yes. What he's saying includes that as well. Correct. So that's not considered mitloses, but again, still is not a proper thing to do it. And to include songs when you mention HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name, Chacham Ovadia says there's no isur. You could put that song on the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei as well, but of course not repeating it and not elongating it in a way that it loses its mashmaud. So that's something to be careful about. Says the Mishna Berurah, Meguneh, this that if he thinks that he's he's God's gift to humanity, and the Hazan thinks, from Sheshet Yimei Bereshit until now, there's no Hazan like me. Unbelievable, and he's proud of his voice to show it off to people. Shulchan said that's meguneh, that's ugly. It's not a proper conduct, it's not a proper mindset. And that says the Mishna Berurah, Ita b'Sefer Hasidim, Rabbi Yehuda Hasid writes in Siman Het, B'sha'ah sheRabban Shimon ben Gamliel yatza ledin nehareg, when Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, one of the 10 martyrs, was taken out to be killed. Amar lo. He said that he's talking together with the Kohen Gadol, and they were together, right? And it said, "Wow, we are going out to be killed like Chayaveh Mitot Bedin. We learned Torah, taught Torah the whole life, and now our fate is going to be like Chayaveh Mitot Bedin. What is this?" And he tells him something that shakes a person to the core. It's Amar lo Shema Haita Doresh Parabim. Maybe you were darshaning in the tzibur. There's, again, 2 people going out to be killed together. One of them is the Kohen Gadol, one of them is the Nasi. Think about this. The greatest Talmidei Chachamim and Tzaddikim that we've ever had. And they're, talking about their fate of being beheaded and killed like this. And he says, actually, it's not so far-fetched. We could be hayav. We could be befitting this punishment because look at in their level, of course. In their level, our level is thousands of levels lower, but at least it gives you a perspective. He tells him, he says, maybe you were darshaning in tzibur, in public, and you felt so good about yourself. He said, I'm sitting up here darshaning. Look, 4,000 or 5,000 people are listening to me over here. And it got to you. It got to you. You felt so proud of yourself that you're teaching Torah. And look at the Devar Torah, the Hidush that I said. From time of Moshe Rabbeinu until now, no one could say a Hidush like this. Right? And you're proud of yourself. That he told him, he answered him, he said, Amar lo nihamtani. So he gave me nahama. That perhaps I have felt like that, and we are hayav to go through what we're going through. Tremendous musar. Again, not our level, perhaps, but something to give a perspective to a person. And the Kaf HaChaim writes that a person that feels proud of himself as a hazan like that is from Kata Chanafim. He is a flatterer. that he's doing honey food for tzibur, right? That people who do things to get kavod from people that are included in kat hanafim, says the Kaf HaChaim, anyone for that matter. And therefore, a shalach tzibur that's seeking with his voice is seeking to get the attention and the love of tzibur, not HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is not a positive thing. The Pelei Yoetz writes, one of my beloved Svarim is with Pelei Yoetz, Rabbi Eliezer Papa from Turkey, a tremendous Tamil Chacham, not just a Bal Musar. He has a Shelot Utshuvot Pelei Yoetz. He has a Sefer Olot Eliman Shas. He has the famous Sefer Halacha and Orachaim Yoreteah of Chesed La'alafim, which Ben Ish Chai is one of the main Svarim that Ben Ish Chai is based on. I don't want to give percentage, but a very high percentage of Ben Ish Chai is based on the Sefer Chesed La'alafim from the Pelei Yoetz, from the Rabbi Eliezer Papa, it's Tzaddik v'Kadosh. He writes that is not just the Shaliach Tzibur, the Shaliach Tzibur that is not proper and he's bragging about his voice. Chazal say on him, the pasuk says, he gives his voice on me, and therefore I hate him, says Hashem. Right? So Periyah says that's not only by Shaliach Tzibur. It's said by anyone that davens and he wants to be proud, not just a Shaliach Tzibur that is not Hagun, is not a good person, is not a Ben Torah, but even if he is a good person, and he's beloved by people, and he has a nice voice, and he is a Tamil Chacham, but he wants to brag about his voice to people, that also Hashem says, Al-Ken Senetiyah, that is not beloved to HaKadosh Baruch Hu when he acts like that. Let's just do the last piece over here. Hatab B'Yam Shel Shlomo, the Marshal writes in Yam Shel Shlomo on Chulin Perek Aleph, in Siman Nun, Asur lo la'arich shelo b'irtzon ha'kahal afilu b'Shabbat v'Yom Tov. Even on Shabbat v'Yom Tov, you're not supposed to elongate the tefillah longer than it's accepted by the tzibur. If people are looking at their watches and say, "Why this guy is showing off his hazanut and is being so long," it's not proper. Even on Shabbat and Yom Tov, the people are not going to work, but their life is important. They want to go do whatever they want to do. They want to go learn. They want to go spend time with family. And if it's not birtzon kahal, if people are not happy with it, it's not good. Now, the Kaf HaChaim says that if the Shaliach Tzibur is not beloved to Tzibur because even though that he has everything else, but he davens very long, the Tzibur has the right to stop him from being Shaliach Tzibur. That's how important this is. Even though that he's a Shaliach Tzibur, Kavua has been set Shaliach Tzibur, you could tell him either daven a proper tefillah, not too short, but not too long, or if you can't daven shorter and like a normal tefillah, get off from the job, basically. Yeah, because you're wasting the people's time. Now, of course, these things are subjective. Chacham Obadia used to be very reminiscing about his time that he spent as the chief rabbi of Cairo in Egypt. And he said, we go to the tefillah there. The Kriyat Torah was every word they would do it like you're counting margaliot, right? You're counting diamonds. So the Kriyat Torah at least would take hour and a half. Just the Kriyat Torah. So of course, if you do that here, the people will jump out the window and commit suicide. Right? If you have an hour and a half of Kriyat Torah, they would either kill the rabbi or the gabbai or the balkor or themselves. Okay? So that's subjective. Back in the day, it used to be people would go to shul in order to have hazanut. And they would sit there like enjoying themselves with the hazanut. The time would stop. Nowadays, no, we're all ADD. Attention span of 2016 average American is 8 seconds. Goldfish is 9 seconds. That's how. This is what we've gotten, right? Literally, I'm not making this up. So it's subjective. You have to be sensitive to your community, and of course, the job of the Rab is, has become the sickness of this generation has become that it's like a business. You have to. The shorter minyan is the most popular. It's the job of the Rabbanim to stand and have a proper tefillah. Shemona Esrei doesn't take 3 minutes. It doesn't take 2 minutes. If you have a minyan that after 3 minutes they start Chazarat Shas, that's also not proper. And perhaps the rabbi has become swayed by the populace, and it's not good either. It's the job of the rabbi, the Rav, to be a moreh hora'ah, a moreh derech, a guideline to the community. It takes what, 5 to 7 minutes at the minimum to say the words of tefillah while thinking what they mean for a regular speed of brain. We're not talking about geonim and geniuses, regular people, right? So that's also, it's not here and not there. It has to be a balance within that. And on that it says, he brings the Knesset Gdolah of Chaim Ben Baneshti, he brings in the name of the Tshuvat, Ribruno, that Shaliach Tzibur, Shenifsal Kolo, he got sick and got corona and he lost his voice, right? Now he doesn't have a beautiful voice anymore, right? What do? If the voice is heard in a broken way, it's like, it's not a voice even, then that's pasul. He can't be a Shaliach Tzibur anymore, right? Until he gains back his voice. If you have 2 hazanim, one of them is Kohen, one of them is Levi, you give the Kohen the kavod because it's part of the mitzvah v'kidashto of sanctifying the zera, the lineage of Aaron HaKohen. V'kol sheken yoter, v'kol sheken Levi. So if a Kohen, Levi, Israel also takes precedent, Levi and Israel, Levi comes first, and Tamei Hacham is Kodem Amaretz. If you have a Shaliach Tzibur that's Tamei Hacham, he of course takes precedent to an ignorant Shaliach Tzibur, even if the ignorant Shaliach Tzibur is Kohen or Levi. Bezrat Hashem will continue this in the days to come.